this module, we're going to talk about targeting jobs and companies. Why target? Targeting is intentional. You have to consider what you want to do. What's your next great job? What skills do you need to be able to do it? And where do you want to work? What's great about a company? What do people say about it? Getting inside information about what working there is like. Are they a cultural fit for you? Are you a fit for them? And if there's a match between the job and the company, having those things in mind when you're looking at jobs and companies will help you have a better landing when you go into a new environment. The first step is doing research on the job description. So going into Indeed or LinkedIn or any other number of job places and putting in simply a title that seems to make sense to you. So here we're using project manager. We've narrowed it down to Denver, but you don't have to do that. You can leave it wide open because initially you're just looking at job descriptions and what they say and what sounds interesting to you and balancing if there's a fit. So here's some information and responsibilities from a job description for a project manager. And some of the key things in the requirements are Agile Scrum, having a PMP, and knowing waterfall methodology. So if this job looks really interesting to you and you know a little bit about Agile and Scrum and waterfall, but you don't have a PMP, then you have to think about, what are my chances of being able to land this job? If you find some titles that you like, setting up job alerts makes sense. You don't want to set up job alerts in too many places because it will give you way too many emails, but setting it up in a couple of places is a good idea. Here's a research tool that we use. It's a 3+3 workshop. It has a number of different sections to it. We'll talk about a couple of them today. First, this allows you to keep your research straight because when you're looking at a lot of different companies, I don't suggest that you record every one you look at for jobs, but it keeps you straight on what the highlights of the position were, what the requirements were. And you'll start to see trends. If you see waterfall in almost every job description, you know that waterfall is something that you have to learn. Some people will advise you to apply frequently. Apply for anything, even if you're not qualified. Send as many resumes out as possible. I think that that is a bad idea. I think it can be very frustrating, it can be very depressing, and it really clogs up the whole process on applications. To be practical about it, I think first you look at the years of experience that are required. If it says 1 to 3 and you just recently got a degree, then I think you're probably fine in applying to that. But if it says 8 to 12, there's no way that they will consider you if you don't have close to that much experience. The second thing are skill gaps. That's obvious. If, as we saw before, if there are a lot of specific things on there that you don't have, but you still want to do the role, I think that there are ways to get knowledge in those areas. More ways now than there ever have before. First is continuing education, and some things you really do have to go back to school for. But other things, you can go to LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, Codecademy. There are a lot of different places in each of the different discipline areas. For marketing, there are probably 15 certificates, 20 certificates that you can get for free if you know what those skill areas are. And in addition, does your resume reflect what they're looking for? You may have some of the things that they're looking for, but not have it on your resume. So make sure that if you do have those skills, put them in your resume. You don't just put them in a cover letter. Next, are you close? Should you apply? If you think you're close enough, definitely go for it. You don't have to be 100%, but I think you have to be somewhat close to have it make sense. Next, company research. So where do you find interesting companies? There are, again, lots of places. Denver Business Journal has articles when a new company's coming to town. If there's something new happening with a company, you can look at that. They also have a book of lists that they publish once a year. There's a cost involved with it, but it has the top 25 to 50 companies in every single industry. So it's a great place to look, particularly if you're looking for large companies. Metro Denver Economic Development Corporation and the state of Colorado's Office of Economic Development and International Trade. Both of those companies recruit businesses to come into Colorado and help existing businesses expand in Colorado. So their websites have a lot of information about companies. Built in Colorado, they have jobs on Built in Colorado, but they also have information about tech companies a lot on the startup side of things. So do your homework and look at the companies. Once you know that the companies that you're interested in, you can do your research. The obvious place to look is their website, and you'll find a ton of information there on almost every company website, but sometimes you want something that's a little quicker. In that case, I recommend Googling the name of the company and press releases. The press releases do a great job, generally at the bottom of the press release, with a paragraph that really sums up the company. So that's a real quick and dirty way to find out some good information without having to spend a lot of time. If it's a company you're really interested in, you can set up alerts on Google News. And beyond that, both Glassdoor and Indeed have great company information. They have reviews of employees, and know that it's like Yelp in that more people complain than give positive reviews, so look for trends. They also have salary information that's self-reported, and Glassdoor has interview information. LinkedIn isn't as great on the company side of things, but they are great for looking up employee profiles and seeing the type of people that they hire, people that are in a position that you would be interested in. So we go back to the 3+3 form and taking the information that you gained from your research, putting down the reasons why you want to work at the company that are company focused. That is a big picture kind of a thing. You may also be interested in them because they're close to your house and they're hiring, but those are not the reasons that you would either tell the company or you would use when you're collecting information about them. If you want to talk about this further, we're happy to talk to you, and you can schedule an appointment at bcc@ucdenver.edu. Thanks so much for joining us for the video.